answer your questions.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Thank you. Assemblyman Hayes.
Thank you, Chancellor Zimper. You know, I'm from Amherst, home to the North Campus of the University of Buffalo. And in Western New York, we have legislators on both sides of the aisle, Democrats, Republicans. We have people who are on the all sides of the philosophical spectrum about giving more autonomy to UB, the UB 2020 program, the SUNY Empowerment Act. Supporters, both sides of the aisle. It's not a political difference. It's not a philosophical difference. What can you specifically reiterate from your testimony today in advocacy of SUNY empowerment that can help convince those in the legislature, some who are sitting on this panel here this morning, you can tell by the tone of their questions, they oppose it, they've opposed it in their own conferences. What can you tell them specifically on how that Empowerment Act can assist SUNY in meeting the very difficult budget goals that the governor has put before us with this budget that he's given, and what can it specifically do to help improve the economy in New York State? Can you reiterate some of those very forceful things you said? I think many people need to hear them again.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I guess I would like to say, an Assembly member, that the coherence of the Western New York delegation is a thing to behold. We recently had a meeting with the delegation, 12, maybe that is the total number. If so, you had a perfect attendance. You have advocated what you've said about both sides of the aisle is absolutely appropriate. And all 6 points that I concluded with in my testimony are, in essence, UB 2020. We must have procurement flexibility. We must learn to create public-private partnerships within the parameters of the questions raised today to get the job done. That's how Western New York is going to thrive. That's how we're going to thrive. The whole notion of the balance between the thing called maintenance of effort and the thing called a predictable, responsible, and fair tuition policy over a 5-year period, just like a construction fund, is going to give you immense opportunity in Western New York. And we think that we have examples in each of those pockets to say how it would work. I will say that in our so-called rational tuition planning, we want to find a way that you can do what you did for construction in being more planful for our students and for our universities. So I have to say that the components of UB 2020 are perfectly aligned with the budget needs that I have articulated, that we are discussing. And I think particularly in public-private partnerships, which is a big part of the sort of development side of UB 2020, this is where there is immense opportunity for communities. And this is quite frankly why we point to Nano. It is unequivocally New York's greatest innovation success, and the fact that it has traveled to Marcy and to Rochester, and as I understand it, moving down the Hudson Valley, this is really powerful. So I hope that you hear us as the strong advocate we are. What we all have to understand is that ultimately, to pass the bills that are necessary to get this job done, we have to negotiate, we have to work, and I'm very pleased with the initial work that has occurred around procurement. I am eager to see it work between the Senate and the Assembly, but the fact that our labor unions were at the table, that we were at the table, and we parted with some accomplishment and agreement is the kind of politics we ought to be engaged in.
I appreciate your advocacy for that, and I continue to hold out the Western New York delegation as a model to our colleagues of how this should not be a partisan event. It should not be a partisan discussion. It should not be one based on people's philosophy. There are risks in life. We know that. But there are also risks for not doing things, for not moving ahead. And we see those risks very closely in Western New York and in the economy in Western New York, and we look forward to your continued advocacy and support, and we'll continue to be there with you until we get the job done. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Assemblymember.
Assemblyman Colton.